Lesson 6.1, and this time we're working on our bonus prompt. Our bonus prompt gives us the ability to add 3 different things. These are for the user to be able to press or be able to select everything in the new dictionary. They can add something and they can update something. I would definitely recommend working on this bonus project because it's going to come in handy later down the line in these labs. The first thing that I want to do that I think is going to very much benefit me is I want to create something I'm going to call a user action. And the user action is going to be an input. But right now, I'm going to say that the value of the user action is none. And why I'm doing that is because I want to use this while loop right here to allow the user to perform actions multiple times, right? Before, we just had this simple script that said, what's your input? And it spit out an output using the dictionary. Now I'm going to have it be in a loop, and that loop is going to continuously check and see what the user wants to do. And you'll see kind of how that takes shape in just a minute, and just give it the proper abbreviations. So while the user action is not equal to none, I'm going to do something, right? And right here, I'm going to go ahead and cut. And oh no, apparently it did not cut everything. So we're going to cut this. We're going to add our beginning action simply to the beginning of our program, right? So we're going to give the user an abbreviation every single time. And now I'm also going to do a user action, and I'm going to actually ask the user what they want to do. User action input, I'm going to say, would you like to update, add, view all items, or I don't know what our last command, it's going to be quit. Actually, yeah, because right here, while user action is not, we don't want to check if it's equal to none, we want to check if it's equal to quit. Because up here, I'm saying the user action is none, I'm giving it just a default value. Then I'm going to ask user what they want to do. If they choose quit, you'll see that we actually will quit the loop. But before that, of course, we're going to look through a couple of actions. So the one thing I also want to change, they specify in the lab that they want our view all items to specifically use the keyword get. It's going to be very important down the road when we do more programming, potentially in the object-oriented space or in further classes you may take. But here, I'm going to say if, and I'm going to check user action is equal to update. We're going to do something, right? I also want if user action is equal to add, or if the user action is going to be equal to get. I want to add else because I want this to be elif specifically. That way it won't check every single one. And then finally, I'm going to say elif user action. And actually, we'll come back to that first. Let's start programming some of our kind of spatial stuff, some of our dictionary stuff that we want to work on. So if the user action is equal to update, how do we update? One thing I want to say is definitely look at the recommended readings if you do have them, if your professor supplies them. They can be very useful to figuring this stuff out. But here I want to say user update selection. This is going to be an input, much like our inputs we've used before. And it's going to say user update selection. And our prompt is going to be what item would you like to update? And the value that we take in is going to allow us to change our dictionary, but we also want to check and see what they want the value to be updated to. So I'm going to say user update value is equal to input, and our input is going to be what would you like to change the value to? Give it the question mark, give it enough space. And then what we need here is an if-else statement. And specifically what this if-else statement is going to do, it's going to check if that value actually exists. If it doesn't exist, we can't physically modify it, right? I can't modify a value in the new dictionary if it doesn't exist. I can add it, but technically we could do what we're going to do, but it doesn't really make sense, right? So let me show you what I mean. If user update selection in new dict, then I want to say new dict is in the key where I've supplied it. So user update selection is equal to user update value. Else, we're going to tell the user that key does not exist in our dictionary. Pretty straightforward. And I want to capitalize this because it looks weird if I don't. And give it a space right there. That value or that key does not exist in our dictionary. While technically I could write this right here. The whole point of update is that we update something that exists. And I want to make sure I control my code in a way that it doesn't do something wonky later or it doesn't do anything unexpected. The unexpected in this case would be that the user could update something and add it at the same time. I don't want that in my code. It could work, but I don't want it here. So here I update it, pretty easy. I don't even need to print it out for now. And here, if the user action is equal to add, I actually want to do something pretty similar. So here the user action is equal to add. I'm going to say user add selection. I'm going to change my user update value to user add value. And for the input, it's going to say what item would you like to add. And the input down here is going to say what would you like to change what would you like to, we'll say what definition would you like to add. And here, we're going to use user add selection. And we're actually going to switch these around, right? Because if we want to add a item, if it's already there, then we shouldn't add it, right? That is not the behavior that we want in this code. It doesn't make sense for how we're writing this. While technically you could do something like that, it doesn't make sense here. And we want to be smart. We want to be safe with our code. So here, I'm going to say if user selection in new dictionary, I'm going to say that key already exists. If you want to update, please use the update command. And we're going to admonish the user for doing something incorrect. And down here, elsewise, I'm going to say user add selection is actually equal to user add value. And that will actually put a new value in the dictionary. And then our other user action right here is get. And I'm going to say print. And I'm simply going to list out new dictionary. It's that simple. It'll give you all the values. If you want to do it maybe in a prettier way, you absolutely have that option. But for now, we're going to do it the smart and easy way. And I just print out new dictionary. Now, of course, the last thing that I want to do is I also want to add a command. And I'm going to add another else if command that says if user action is not equal to quit, because of course quit is our final valid command, I'm going to print out please enter a valid command. And that kind of covers that last case of the user saying quit or the user entering something that's incorrect. I want to give them an alert to it, but not if that user's action is quit. So here, if I click down, I believe this code should run as is. I'm going to go ahead and right click and I click run less than 6.1 bonus. It says what internet slang would I like to know about? I'm actually going to scroll up so I can know what I have. I'm going to say IRL. The meaning of the given slang is in real life. Now, what would I like to do? I'd like to view, add, or view all items. I'm going to say I want to add, and it's going to ask me what item I would like to add. I would like to add, I'm trying to think of good, I'm going to say BT. That's the item I'd like to add. What definition? Our definition is going to be Brad teaches. And now you can see it's returned me. It hasn't given like the kind of return value to confirm what I'm doing, but I'm going to say here, get. And you can see it's listing everything out, and BT is now Brad teaches, and it is listed in there. That is awesome. Now I also want to try update. So if I click update, it says what item I'd like to add. I would like to add, or maybe I'd want to change, I don't know, RT, right? And what would I like to change the value to? I believe there's a newspaper called Russian Times. If there isn't, we're going to make it up. And now it's run correctly. I want to say get. What I should see is I should see a very similar list right here. And this very similar list should tell me that the value of RT, which is right now retweet, should now be the value Russian Times. If I hit enter, I have get, and you can see RT is now changed to Russian Times. This stuff is way easier than it sounds in the bonus question. If you haven't seen how to do it and you're not following along with what I have, definitely look at the additional readings and ask those of your teacher. But otherwise, that's pretty much how you complete the lesson 6.1 bonus. And I hope to see you in lab 6.2. Thank you guys very much.